All right, let's jump right in. The title of this explainer really says it all. We're talking about a massive question, maybe the question of our generation's economy. As we move towards a green economy, are we building a future of incredible growth for everyone? Or are we walking into a huge human crisis?
So let's talk about this number, 375 million. What is that? Well, that's the estimated net number of new jobs that could be created in just the next decade as we go green. I mean, think about that. It's a staggering figure. It just screams opportunity, right?
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Are they going to be good jobs? You know, it's easy to create a job. It's much, much harder to create a good one. One with a decent wage, some security, where you're safe. Because let's be honest, if we mess this up, that amazing 375 million job prize, it could turn into an absolute disaster for people.
Okay, to really get what's at stake here, you have to realize this whole green transition isn't happening in a vacuum. Nope. It's like we're trying to change the engine of a car while it's already barreling down the highway during a storm. The world of work is already in this huge state of flux.
And there are basically three giant waves crashing over us all at once. First up, demographics. The very populations of countries are shifting under our feet. Then you've got technology, and I'm talking specifically about AI, which is just completely rewriting the playbook for all kinds of jobs. And to top it all off, you've got geopolitics, right? The world is getting more fragmented, trade is tense. It just makes everything a whole lot messier.
And this right here tells a fascinating story about people. Just look at the contrast. In places like sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia, you have this massive wave of young people, hundreds of millions of them, all looking for work, for a chance. At the exact same time, in parts of Europe and East Asia, workforces are actually getting smaller. This creates this crazy imbalance across the globe and a ton of pressure to create jobs in the places that need them the most.
And then there's AI. You know, we've seen automation before, but this is different. This isn't about robots on an assembly line doing physical stuff. No, this is what some are calling the cognitive industrial revolution. It's coming for jobs that we always thought were safe, high-skilled, white-collar professions. We're talking about a potential disruption to nearly 1 in 4 jobs worldwide. That's the shaky ground we're standing on as we try to make this green shift.
So, yeah, it sounds a little bleak, right? But out of all that chaos, the climate transition shows up like this huge beacon of hope. It's not just something we have to do for the planet. It could actually be the single biggest job-creating machine of this century.
I mean, just look at the raw numbers here. They're wild. We could see up to 530 million new jobs created. Now, of course, some jobs will be lost. You can't transform an economy without that, especially in fossil fuels. But the net gain? It's huge. The potential is absolutely massive.
So the big question is, where exactly are these jobs? Well, if we look at projections for a place like Africa, a picture starts to form. And wow, look at that. Something like 70% are in construction, building things. Another big piece is in agriculture. Are you seeing the pattern here? A lot of these are labor-intensive and frankly, lower-skilled jobs. And that's where we hit our first major snag.
All right, this is where the story takes a turn. Because that incredible prize, that 375 million jobs, it could end up being a double-edged sword if we're not super careful. The real danger here isn't that there won't be enough jobs, it's that there won't be enough good jobs. See, a lot of these new jobs are in sectors that have a long history of being informal. You know, think construction work or even waste sorting. In those kinds of jobs, you often don't have basic protections. And the pay, well, you could be earning just a quarter of what someone in a formal job makes. That's not a step up the ladder. That's a trap. And the hidden costs get pretty grim. You've got the huge demand for stuff like cobalt for batteries, which is tied to dangerous work, even child labor. You've got this massive skills mismatch where most of the new jobs don't require high-level skills. And you've got this old unfair pattern. Low-income countries do the dirty work of digging up raw materials, while the cushy, high-paying manufacturing and research jobs stay somewhere else.
This quote is just perfect. It's from Elon Musk of all people, admitting that too much automation was a mistake. He said, humans are underrated. And that really gets to the heart of the old way of thinking, what people call Industry 4.0. It was all about tech, automating humans right out of the picture. But it turns out that whole model is kind of fragile. It forgot about the most important part, us.
So if that's the old way, what's the new way? What's the alternative? Well, we need a totally new philosophy,
A new blueprint that learns from those mistakes and puts people right back in the driver's seat. And that new blueprint has a name: Industry 5.0. Now, this isn't about getting rid of technology, not at all. It's about changing its purpose. The goal is no longer to replace humans, it's to augment them. Think of it like a partnership. Robots and smart machines do the boring, dangerous, repetitive stuff, which frees us humans up to do what we're actually good at. Being creative, solving complex problems, thinking critically.
And this whole idea really stands on three main pillars. Pillar 1, it's human-centric. That means tech works for people, not the other way around. Simple as that. Pillar 2, it's sustainable. It has to respect the planet's boundaries. And Pillar 3, it's resilient. It has to be tough enough to handle the shocks and crises that we know are coming. That's the vision.
Okay, a vision is great, but a vision without a plan is just a daydream. So how do we actually do this? The good news is, there's a real plan, a concrete agenda we can start on right now.
It all starts with smart policy. It's a to-do list, really. We need to bake job and skills goals right into our national climate plans. We should be using AI to get a better handle on the skills we're going to need in the future. We need to build smart platforms that can connect people to these new jobs. And maybe most importantly, we have to make investing in people a top priority for all that climate money.
Let's make this real. Take a look at Kenya. They've done the homework. They figured out, okay, we're short on people who know about climate-smart farming, and we need technicians for EV batteries. So what's the plan? They're proposing actual solutions, like a national training program and a special fund to help their transportation sector switch to green tech. This is what it looks like when the rubber meets the road.
And here's another fantastic example of how to do this right. The Philippines Green Jobs Act is a total game changer. What did they do? They created one committee to get everyone in the same room. Labor, education, environment, finance, you name it. The goal? Make sure everyone is pulling in the same direction. No more working in silos. It's just brilliant.
But, and this is a huge but, we have a massive problem. Just look at this. All that money, all the billions and billions flowing into climate finance, guess how much goes to skills and training for people? Less than half of 1%. Think about that. We're buying all the expensive hardware for this transition, but we're spending almost nothing on the human software needed to actually make it all work. It's crazy.
At the end of the day, we have to completely change how we think about this. Investing in people, in their skills, in their education, it's not a cost. It's a strategic investment in growth. And once you see it that way, you can start getting creative with ideas like debt for skills swaps. Imagine telling a country, hey, we'll reduce your debt if you use that money to educate your people. That's how we find the money we so desperately need.
So here we are. The path forward is actually pretty clear. The choice between a green future that lifts everybody up and one that just creates new problems, that choice isn't written in stone. It's a choice we are all making right now with every decision. We literally have the blueprint for a better, more human-centered economy. The only question left is, are we actually going to build it?